George Foreman, Olympic gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion, and a business mogul. We all know the face, the name, and probably even own that legendary grill. But beyond the grill and the gloves, there's so much more to the man. Today we're diving into 10 things you might not know about the legend himself, George Foreman. Let's talk money, folks. George Foreman made an estimated $200 million from the Foreman Grill alone. In comparison, his entire boxing career earned him less than $100 million. That grill turned him into one of the richest retired athletes ever. Who would have thought a kitchen appliance would become a knockout punch for his finances? Most boxing champs start young, practically born with gloves on their hands. Not our George. Believe it or not, George didn't throw a serious punch until he was 17. He was headed down a rough path as a teen, getting into trouble. But then, he joined Job Corps, met a mentor who introduced him to boxing. Less than 4 years later, this late bloomer wins Olympic gold. Talk about a Cinderella story. You heard that right, folks. George Foreman has 5 sons, and get this, they're all named George. George Jr., George III, George IV, George V, and George VI. He said it was to make sure they all had something in common. Can you imagine the family dinners? Hey George, pass the potatoes. Which George, Dad? Classic. Now let's talk about one of the most inspiring comebacks in sports history. After retiring for a decade, George decided to step back into the ring in the 90s. In 1994, at the age of 45, George knocked out Michael Moorer to reclaim the heavyweight title. That made him the oldest heavyweight champion in history. George Foreman proved that age is just a number, and with enough heart and determination, anything is possible. In 1977, George had a near-death experience after a fight. This life-changing event led him to find faith and become a Christian minister. He traded his boxing gloves for a pulpit and opened his own church in Houston. This chapter in his life just goes to show the depth of George Foreman, a man of faith, family, and a mean right hook. We can't talk about George Foreman without mentioning the legendary Rumble in the Jungle. In 1974, Foreman, undefeated, younger, and brimming with power, faced off against Muhammad Ali. Ali used the now famous rope-a-dope tactic, wearing down the younger Foreman. The Rumble in the Jungle remains one of the most iconic fights in boxing history. Hulk Hogan said no to the grill? What? Here's a fun fact for you. George Foreman wasn't the first choice for the now iconic Foreman Grill. The offer was initially made to Hulk Hogan, but George, ever the savvy businessman, said yes, and the rest, as they say, is history. That grill has sold over 100 million units worldwide. George Foreman wasn't just a boxer or a businessman, he was a family man, a devoted father who raised 12 children, 10 biological and 2 adopted. Despite his fame and fortune, George always prioritized being a father. George Foreman, the gentle giant, the loving father, a side of him we don't often see, but a side that truly defines the man. Thanks to his business savvy and that legendary grill, George Foreman's net worth is estimated to be well over $300 million. He's a prime example of how athletes can build generational wealth beyond their sports career. George took his earnings from the ring and turned them into a business empire. George Foreman proved that he wasn't just a champion in the ring but a champion entrepreneur as well. Despite his ferocity in the ring, George Foreman was known for his gentle nature and joyful spirit. He was always smiling, always laughing, a gentle giant with a heart of gold. His kindness and wisdom inspired just as much as his powerful punches. George Foreman was a true original, a fighter with a gentle soul. George Foreman wasn't just a fighter, he was a father, a preacher, an entrepreneur, and an American icon. He defied expectations, overcame adversity, and inspired millions with his strength, resilience, and kind heart. From the boxing ring to the pulpit, from the grill to the hearts of his family, George Foreman left an indelible mark on the world. Rest in power, champ. Subscribe to Channel Live News 24 for more stories that matter.